So my top 10 Desert Island Discs records. This is different than, I've been thinking, there's been a lot of top 10s going around in the past month or so, which I think is great. I love lists. And I was thinking about, I've already done my top records of all time. I think I did my top 5 billion or something, or top 50 or 100 a couple of years ago. That top 10 I'm sure would have or will have or has changed since then. So I was thinking of doing that, my top 10 favorite records. But then I remembered Desert Island Discs. And I also remember Tower Records, which a lot of us, I think a lot of music fans have sort of revisionist history about Tower. I remember that we would go to independent record stores instead of Tower, because Tower was like the king, the corporate king. And now it seems like everybody sort of reflects on Tower in a very positive way, and I do too. I got a bunch of these pens. My friend Yohei sends them to me from Tokyo, because there's a bunch of Tower records still in Japan. And I've only been to Japan twice, but every time I've gone Tower, and it's been incredible. So I'm guilty of that as well. But I remember when I would go to Tower Records, and that was typically for like new releases, and to go to their listening booth. They had a magazine called, I think it was called Pulse Magazine, and you could submit your top 10 Desert Island discs. And I used to submit mine like once a month. I think you had to mail it in, like physically mail it in. Because this was before I was in college, so like early 90s or late 80s even. And if I recall correctly, I made it once after like years of trying. And I think it was like Born to Rome was my number one. Probably On the Beach was probably number two. A lot of classic rock back then. Maybe some Creedence, some Beatles. But when I think about Desert Island Discs now, I think of if you were actually stranded on a desert island, what 10 records would you want? I don't think that those are necessarily your favorites. They're not for me. They're sort of a collection of records that one, maybe you hold very dear for a perfect reason. Maybe it's good for a mood. And if you're on a desert island, you're gonna want to experience different moods, or you will be experiencing different moods, and you want the right soundtrack for those moods. I've given way too much thought to this, but this is where I landed. Didn't give it a ton of time, but my 10, if I was stranded on a desert island, these are the albums I would want. Darkness on the Edge of Town is an automatic for me. It reminds me of my childhood, reminds me so much of my brother Lane, reminds me of the good and bad in my family. This was just played a lot, and it's the record for me. I've said many, many times, Factory always reminds me of my stepfather, who was a police officer, very blue collar, worked tons of overtime. And I shared with my buddy Jeff last night, and we were talking about Springsteen, no surprise. And I remember that when I was in college, I used the line, "Poor man wanna be rich, rich man wanna be king, and the king ain't satisfied till he rules everything," from this record, in a paper. And that sort of played a huge role in what I studied in college. It's hard to explain, but that paper was very well received, and the professor came to me and we talked a lot about Springsteen. So I would need that. I'd have to listen to that. I need to hear Badlands. I need to hear The Promised Land, Racing in the Street. It just doesn't get much better. These are not in order, by the way. Number 2, Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back. I'm gonna need some rapper hip hop for when I'm in the right mood. This is the first CD I ever owned. So the first CDs I remember I got for my birthday. I think it was my 16th birthday. And I got this and Bobby Brown, My Prerogative. This has held up well. I haven't listened to Bobby Brown in ages. But this record, it's all about my teen years. A lot of my friends that I met, my buddy Dan, guys that I played basketball with in high school and before high school. This was just the record. And I listen to it still regularly. I think it was Paul Simon. I've mentioned this on this channel before. I think it was Paul Simon who said this is his favorite record of all time, which made me appreciate him so much more. Not that I need to appreciate Paul Simon anymore. I think he's great. But what a record. And I remember, if my memory is correct, Chuck D spoke at my school and I was out of town. I'm pretty sure he came and spoke at my college and I couldn't make it. And I remember I was so bummed out because I was so into Public Enemy back then. So gotta have that. Gotta have a good live record, right? Townes Van Zandt, live at the Old Quarter. Probably this and Springsteen at Hammersmith, which I just realized I didn't pick that and probably should have, are probably my two favorite live records. But I would need, God, I think one of the greatest songwriters ever, right up there. The great Townes Van Zandt, live at the Old Quarter. This is just one of the greatest records ever made, and I would need it. And then if I'm just in a really good mood and I want to, maybe I think there's a plane on this Desert Island thing is not, I'm stretching it too far. LCD Soundsystem's Sound of Silver. Love this record. I play this a lot when I go running. Yeah, I actually do go running. Actually quite a bit lately. Tremendous record. And if I was throwing a party by myself on that desert island, I would want to crank this. Sound of Silver, LCD Soundsystem. And then if I'm just kind of chilling and want something similar to Townes, but not a live record, just great songs. Lucinda Williams, Car Wheels on a Gravel Road. Gotta have this one. I remember when this came out, we were like, is this like one of the greatest records ever? You rarely, at least for me, you rarely get that when a record first comes out, sort of a recognition that this is something super special. It usually takes time for me. I guess Foxtrot had a little bit of that feeling. And Jason Isbell's Southeastern, maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. But this, I remember all my friends were just like, wow. It was like the reaction we have from Sunvolt's Trace. This might be even greater. Great shot from a book of photography called Juke Joint, which I bought. I have, it's in my place. This photo is from that book. I actually saw, with my girlfriend at the time, Lucinda Williams at the show, it was a PBS show, Sessions at West 57th, or was it 52nd Street? And you can see it on YouTube. The whole show is on YouTube, and you can see the side of my face and the back of my head throughout the whole show. I'm in the first row, right in front of Lucinda. I don't know why I just did that. But it was an incredible show. I think Buddy Miller was on guitar. And then in my dark moments, I'm gonna need Big Star's Third, which over the past 5 years has moved up to be one of my favorite records ever. The songwriting on this, For You, Kiss of Me, You Can't Have Me, Nighttime, Blue Moon, Take Care, Jesus Christ, Holocaust, Kangaroo, Thank You Friends. They're one of those artists, 3 records that are perfect. Big Star, Nick Drake, handful of others. Need that one. Speaking of Nick Drake, To Calm My Mind, Pink Moon. This is a copy I haven't opened yet. I have so many copies of this record. I don't know if this happens as you get older, but do some of you sort of wake up really early now and you're in bed, it's like 4 or 5, and you want to listen to music? I've been doing that a lot in the last few months, and I often listen to this and I fall back asleep because this record is so beautiful and relaxing. Nick Drake's classic Pink Moon. I mean, I gotta have some Beatles, right? And this is my favorite Beatles record, Abbey Road. This is good for any mood, right? Here Comes the Sun. Polythene Pam She Came In Through the Bathroom Window, into Golden Slumbers, Carry That Weight. Just I Want You, Something. Just, this is one of the greatest, and I would absolutely can't be on a desert island without the Beatles. And then, I don't know what mood I'm going to be in, but Sam Cooke, Night Beat. This is a reissue. Came out 2009, it looks like. This is an Analog Productions. This is the first record I got, like high-end record that I got, where I was just absolutely blown away by the sound. I remember listening to this and thinking, oh my God, I've never heard a record sound like this. And I just love Sam. I think he's the greatest voice in the history of music. Sam Cooke. You gotta have either Otis, Sam Cooke, Aretha. You gotta have some great soul there. And Sam Cooke has always been my favorite, so he's coming along. And then when I'm feeling, I don't know, intellectual or something, Yankee Hotel Foxtrot. This is number 10. A record that holds up so well. Came out in 2002, really in 2001. I listen to it all the time. I keep finding tracks that, the Reservations is the track that I listen to a lot now. Super long track, 12 minutes. Heavy Metal Drummer, probably was my least favorite song on this album. Now play it regularly. Those are the 10. But of course, I have a couple extras because I couldn't nail it down to just 10. New Glass from the great Twin Tone Records. Makes me think of Peter Jesperson and the Replacements. Couple more. I found a little bit more room in my backpack, or my record pack, as I'm heading to this island. Gilliam Welch, Harrow and the Harvest. Just, if you've heard it, if you've heard a Gilliam Welch record, you know why. Unreal songwriting, guitar playing by David Rawlings, her vocals. It should be in my top 10. If I need to relax my mind fully, like more so than a Nick Drake record. Gavin Bryars, The Sinking of the Titanic. I learned about this record, I've mentioned this before, a Tom Waits interview, where I think he cited this maybe as his favorite of all time or close, and I went to Amoeba Records in San Francisco and bought the CD. They didn't have vinyl. This was reissued. I found this in Scotland when I was just there. I couldn't believe it. It was one of those wow moments. Listen to this if you want to calm your mind. It is a gorgeous record. Two more. Yeah. Jimmy Buffett, A1A. A great record. I was a huge Jimmy Buffett fan in high school. My friend George, my late friend George, he used to make me tons of Jimmy Buffett mixtapes. It was always like the deep cuts, never he knew. But I'm looking here. Side A, Making Music for Money, Door Number 3, Dallas, Presents to Send You, Stories We Could Tell, Life's a Tire Swing, Pirate Looks at 40, Migration, which is my favorite Jimmy Buffett song, Trying to Reason with Hurricane Season, Nautical Wheeler's Tin Cup Chalice. This is a great record. It's a 5-star record, for real. I have heard that Jimmy Buffett may not be doing too well. I hope he comes back. I haven't seen him since, I lost interest after high school, maybe early college. But I'm going to play this today. I have a newfound appreciation. He has some really good records. And this one, I'm on a beach, just like Jimmy in this seat here with a Coors Light or a Michelob or something. I don't know if I'll have Michelobs or Coors Lights with me, but I'll have this record and it'll make me very happy. Check it out. Last, and this is a selfish one. My dog, my dog Ben is on the cover of the great Brent Best from Slobberbones record, Your Dog Champ. I took this photo in Winnemucca, Nevada. Is that Nevada? Yeah, Nevada. Brent Best from Slobberbone, who has become a friend. He played at my brother's memorial. He's one of the sweetest men, not just in music, but one of the sweetest men in the world that I've ever met. I've had many late nights with him in Austin back in the 2000s when I was down in Austin for South by Southwest a lot. And he put this record out in 2015, is that right? And he found me on Facebook. We might have been friends like after, I don't know, just South by, added him or something and couldn't believe that he approved it. And he reached out to me many years ago and basically just said, can you send me that photo of your dog catching a ball in a it looks like in a parking lot? And I said, sure. I sent it to him, had no idea. And then he asked me, I think he said, like, how much would you want? I didn't know what he meant. And then he said he wants it as his album cover. And I said, are you kidding me? $0. I'll pay you to put it in, to memorialize my dog Bennett, who is still with us. He is 14 plus. He has some good days and some bad days, but he's still a happy dog, still eating. And I would have to take, this would be bringing my dog along with me, along with Brent, a person that I find to be just a wonderful human being. And I hope I can get down to Texas to see him soon, to have a few drinks and talk rock and roll and sports and other stuff. Brent Best, the final record I would take with me. I think this could be a good thread, but I say that now on every one of my threads. Hope you're all doing well. I hope you have a good week, and I will talk to you soon.